Are you writing narratives with your kids? Well, today we're going to have a video so that you can help them write a first sentence to their story that's called a story opening. This story opening is going to help them create great stories and begin their stories with a sophisticated sentence. To write that story opening, we're going to use the sentence builder. Now, the sentence builder requires 5 steps to write a story opening. Let's start with step 1. Step 1. Secret formula time. This is a fabulous way to help kids learn how to write a story opening. We're going to give them a secret formula. Here's our secret formula for a story opening. It's S, C, arrow. I always have the kids go, "What does that mean?" And then I tell them, well, the first S, which is the first letter, which is an S, stands for setting. S is setting. Setting tells us, and then we point to our wrist, when and where. What does setting tell us? When and where. The next letter is a C. C is character. Who's in our story? A person or an animal? And then the last card is an arrow. That means action. What's the character doing? So now let's go back to the whole secret formula. S, C, arrow. Setting, character, action. Now we're ready for step 2. Step 2, parts of speech cards. Now we're going to add the parts of speech in these little dotted boxes so that when kids are writing these sentences, they know SC arrow, S stands for setting. What does setting tell us? When and where. So we're going to add a when and we're going to add a where card. C is character. Who's in the story? A person or an animal? Well, a person or an animal, that would be a noun. So we're going to add a noun card here. And then action. What's the character doing? That would be a verb. And finally, we're going to add the last card here, and that will be an adjective because we need to describe our character in the story also. So now we have step 2. Step 1 was the secret formula. Step 2 is our parts of speech card. Let's head to step 3. Step 3. Now we're going to go to the icon bar. Draw simple pictures to represent our story opening. So let me show you what you do. You don't go from left to right. So far we've gone left to right when we've added our secret formula, when we've added our parts of speech card, but now when we go to put in our story sentence, when we're actually planning what our story sentence is going to be about, we have to go in a specific order so it makes sense to the kids. Our first card that we go to is the noun. Underneath the noun, in this icon box, we're going to draw simple pictures to represent what's going on in our story opening sentence. So we go to the noun and we say, noun, who is in our story? A person or an animal? So we may ask the kids, we may pick a child's name, they give us a person or an animal for our story. Let's say that we chose a rabbit. All we do is draw a simple picture to represent the rabbit here. It's not anything detailed, it's a fast sketch. After the noun, then what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the setting, the when and where cards. Why? I don't jump to the verb, the action where the rabbit is going to do something, because I don't know what the rabbit would do if I don't know where the rabbit is. So we're going to add a setting and then it's going to make the action make more sense in our story. So when is our story happening? Let's have it happen in the morning. So we'll put a little sun, like the sun's coming up. Where's the story happening? Well, where would the bunny be? Let's have him out in the wilderness or in the woods, so we'll put some hills and some trees here. Again, notice I'm just drawing simple icons for the meaning of the sentence. That's all I'm doing. So now let's go back and read the pictures in our sentence. One morning, in the wilderness, a bunny. Action! What's the bunny doing at the beginning of the story? Now we're going to add the action to our verb card. Our verb needs to make sense. So I always ask the kids, all right, we're at the beginning of our story. It's morning time, it's the wilderness, we have our bunny. Now, what's the bunny doing early in the morning in the wilderness? What would make sense? So we would have the kids brainstorm with each other. Let's say we came up with the idea that maybe he's eating his breakfast, nibbling on some grass. So I'll draw some grass here, and then I'll put little lines like he's nibbling on the grass. Now, we could add one more part to the sentence, so let's do it so we can make the sentence even more sophisticated. Let's add a why card. Right underneath our arrow, we may have had an action, what the bunny's doing, but why is the bunny nibbling on the grass? So, why would the bunny be nibbling on the grass? Because he's hungry. Well, let's go ahead and let's put the bunny here again. Again, remember, I'm not worried about it being an art project. It's just fast sketch. But let me go ahead and put lines around the bunny's belly to show that the bunny is hungry. Now we have our planned out sentence in the icon bar. We have one morning in the wilderness, a bunny was nibbling on some grass because he was hungry. Before I go on to step 4, I want to make sure that my story is complete. That explains why I have color coding on these cards. If you notice, I have green, yellow, and red, just like a stoplight. What we do is we always go to our red cards to check if we have a complete sentence. So we go red light stop. Do we have our noun and verb phrases and do they make sense, our subject and predicate? So we're going to look over here and say the bunny was nibbling on some grass. Yes, that does make sense. Now we're going to say caution, caution. Did you use describing words? So we're going to go underneath our adjective. No, we didn't use the describing words yet. And that's because we're going to wait until step 4 to add our describing words. But it's there to remind us when we go to step 4. Now let's go to the green light. Green light means go. And that could mean go, does this information need to go in a sentence? Or does it need to leave? Or can I move it around in a sentence? So let's see. When is the story happening? Early one morning. Do we need to know that information? Yes. Out in the wilderness? Yes. Why? Why was he nibbling on the grass? Because he was hungry. His belly was rumbling. Okay, I think we need to keep that also. So we have all of our cards. Red light stop. Does the sentence make sense? Yellow light caution. Slow down. Do you have describing words? Green light go. Does that need to stay in the sentence or does it need to leave? Now let's go to step 4. We're going to add our sticky notes. This is why I have in the sticky notes, I'm going to go ahead and write information on sticky notes and put them down in this bottom area. Why am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to be able to make a more sophisticated sentence if I can add these sticky notes. How do I know what sticky notes to write and where to write them? That's why the parts of speech cards come in. When we have the parts of speech, they're here so that kids can identify specific words or phrases in a sentence so that they can add or change them to make their sentence writing more sophisticated. That's the purpose for a part of speech. So if I'm going to my sentence, if I look for the when phrase, then I know, okay, how did I say this? One morning. Now I'm going to isolate that part of the sentence and figure out how could I say that in a better way? What other words could I add? How could I add other words or change it so it sounds even better? So we'll brainstorm with the kids to come up with another way to say one morning. And then we'll write them on little sticky cards. I like to make sure the sticky cards match the parts of speech cards so the kids can see how they connect. Maybe we came up with, instead of early one morning, we came up with one lovely morning.